Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. Won't you share with a friend or two? Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning to you. And many more, and many more, and many more. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Daring Dialogues. I'm your host today, Shantae Charles. I hope that you have been having a great and wonderful day. It is Friday. It is Get Free Friday. So I hope you've been getting a move on and getting free. We are going to have a brief session today. We are back in season 15 for those of you who are with us for the first time. And this is episode 5. So this is our first week back. Again, we are learning some tools here that we hadn't been using before on the YouTube platform, but it's been a little slow moving and slow rolling. So I do thank you all for your patience as we are working on using these new tools. We are reading today from 2 devotionals, Daily Motivations for African American Success and Meditations for Black Women. And as I said before, though these are geared toward the African American community and the meditations are geared toward Black women, there's just sound advice that anybody can use. So this is why I'm looking at these 2 particular devotionals. I think they're powerful. I think the messages inside of them can inspire anyone. Today's reading is March 14th, and the topic is, have you immunized yourself from success? Have you immunized yourself from success? Janetta Cole, president of Spelman College, said this: show me someone content with mediocrity, and I'll show you somebody destined for failure. Mankind was not created for mediocrity. Our imagination, for example, is most merciful. As a result, we cannot imagine those things that we cannot accomplish. We would not be equipped with the ability to imagine future accomplishments and conditions if we were not correspondingly equipped with the ability to turn those ideas into reality. On the surface, mediocrity may seem comfortable. Those of us who have settled into routine jobs at routine salaries may appear comfortable and content. But beneath the surface, we are forced to contend with the rationalizations we accepted and the non-use of our true abilities. As we consider our potential, the resultant unease is anything but comfortable. I can are 2 powerful words that make an even more powerful exclamation. I can. For the overwhelming majority of people, that sentence can be a true one. People can do what they believe they can do. Perhaps no other quality has the power to lift the poor out of poverty, the hopeless out of disbelief and despair, the ill out of sickness, the downtrodden out of grief as belief. For example, Norman Rice could not become Seattle's first African American mayor unless he believed it first. Cito Gaston, skipper of baseball's Toronto Blue Jays, could not become the first African American manager to guide his team to a World Series title unless he believed it first. And Clifton Wharton Jr., the Deputy Secretary of State, could not become the first African American to receive a PhD in economics from the University of Chicago unless he believed it first. The gap between what an individual thinks he can achieve and what is actually possible is very, very small. But first, he or she or they must believe that they can. Affirmation. I will examine my life and identify those areas where I can utilize my special talents. As I was going to sleep last night, a thought came to my mind and I shared it with my Black Table Talk platform. And that thought was, if someone is waiting, anybody who is waiting for someone important to recognize you as a person who is important, they're probably not your people. Because the people in your life should already recognize that you are important. You are important. Good morning. You are important because you exist. Now, I know that's hard for some people to wrap their minds around because we live in a society that says if you're not producing something, if you're not grinding, if you're not hustling, um, then you have no value, right? Under this system, especially in the United States, under this system of capitalism, people's worth is centered around what they can do, how much they can produce, what can they get out, rather than their worth being settled and set in their existence. This is why you can have some people say, well, if this person can't work, then they shouldn't eat. Well, what is that kind of ethos misinterpreted? What does that kind of ethos mean for a society? Well, most children can't work. So does that mean they shouldn't eat? There are some disabled people that can't work. Does that mean they shouldn't eat? There are elderly people that can no longer work. Does that mean they shouldn't eat? That's a question that we see, unfortunately, being answered in real time by people who lead our country who don't have an ethos that says that everybody matters, that because you are human, you are valuable in this space and time, that you're here in this world, you exist in this world for a reason. And when your ethos is not one where you care about everybody, where you care about humanity, you start to see the result of that kind of empathyless, that kind of uncaringness play out in society through policy. But I want you to know today, you matter because you exist, not in spite of your existence. You matter because you exist. I want to go to the second reading here. I have two readings to do from this book today. And this is Meditations for Black Women. I am really glad that I picked up this book. It is very powerful. The first meditation from this book today is Prioritize Your Self-Care. This is one of my shirts that I created because this has been the thing that has helped me to move on in life. This has been the thing that has helped me to maintain my healing. If you've been following my story at all, you know that I went through some health challenges a couple of years back, and I began to chronicle some of that journey and share some of the things that I learned, including some of the issues I had with healthcare providers and the fight that I had to go through to receive the care that I needed. I had to, advocate for myself. But in all of that, this is what I came away with. And that is that self-care is a revolutionary act. Some people think that self-care is something that you should just do a little bit here, a little bit there. 1 or 2 times a year, you should take care of yourself. You should go away somewhere. No. For me, self care had to become a revolutionary act. Self care had to become a deliberate, intentional thing that I was going to do every single day. Every single day, I have to do some sort of investment. I am doing some sort of investment into my self care. So, whether that is making time to meditate, making time to pray, making time to read a good book, those simple things. Sometimes we're looking for the big things, but we aren't investing in our self care every single day. It is a revolutionary act to tell this world or to put this world on pause so that you can do something that is helpful for your mental wellness, that's helpful for your physical wellness. I look at sometimes when people are dealing with health challenges in their body, when you start having conversations with them, you start hearing things like, I stopped doing X, Y, and Z. I stopped drinking as much water as I needed to drink. I stopped taking care of my exercise regimen and plan. I stopped doing the walking that I was engaged in. I just got so busy. I got so caught up in all of these other things that I stopped doing those base foundational things. So, my challenge to people, especially as we continue in this year and as we see where our government is headed, my challenge to people is to not stop taking care of yourself, to not stop those processes that you began that you know was bringing wholeness and health and wellness to your life and to your body. Now, let's see what she has to say. Audre Lorde wrote this: caring for myself is not self indulgence, it is self preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. I understand that practicing self care is an important part of my wellness journey. Now more than ever, it is imperative that you recognize that stress has a significant impact on your overall well being. To combat the toxicity of stress, you must be proactive in your own self preservation and your own self care. Don't know where to start? I got you. This was written as a self care message. Self care is not just about manicures and massages, although those are helpful. It's about doing the internal work that will help you align your life with your true self. The better you take care of yourself, the better you will feel about yourself, and it will reflect in your external life. In this guide, you will find practical ways to start including self care in your everyday life, because what starts practical will become instinctual. Let us digress. As a Black woman, choosing to put yourself first will be seen as a betrayal by others in and around your life. The world calls for Black women to be martyrs for the well being of society, historically and currently. However, you do not need to do all of that. It is not your job to save everybody. You must first take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. And if you don't want to take care of anyone else, that is your decision. All in all, prioritizing your self care is, in fact, an act of political warfare. It disrupts the way the world wants you to live and shifts you into a space of true peace. No longer will you care about the expectations of others when it comes to your existence as a Black woman. Through wellness, you will gain a deeper understanding of yourself. Sometimes wellness is simply enjoying being you. Now, I don't know where you thought that, because if you are following my channel, you would know that we talk about politics quite a bit here. And also, in the United States, literally being Black has now been made into a political issue. So we cannot escape politics when it comes to our essence and our being and our existence. Taking action. What is one activity you can do today that will help you prioritize your self care and better manage your stress. I'm excited because this weekend I get to uh, lecture on overcoming anxiety, overcoming testing anxiety, and I get to meet with a group of aspiring educators, and we're going to be talking about this in detail over this weekend, talking about prioritizing your self care. This final section for today is called Break Up with Internalized Oppression. Stacey Abrams, politician, lawyer, and voting rights activist, said this: "We must cease being participants in our own oppression. How the world perceives me does not have to align with how I see myself." What is internalized oppression? It's when you attach your self-image to the negative stereotypes perpetuated in society about your marginalized community. This can look like believing you are not worthy of experiencing upward mobility in life because historically, your people may have been dehumanized or othered or ostracized. As a result, your feelings and behaviors mimic this belief. You might find yourself having low self-esteem and thinking that you deserve less than others. Here's another example. Statistically, Black women are less likely to be married, and the media does not let us forget it. My God, there are articles, podcasts, TV shows about how we are more single than ever, and it's allegedly because we are less desirable. Lies. So if you're constantly consuming these messages, you will begin to believe that they are true. Combined with the push of Eurocentric beauty standards, you will think that you are the problem and therefore create a poor relationship with yourself, which in turn creates a poor relationship with others. Misogynoir is the problem. Breaking up with internalized oppression will require intention and self-compassion. Many have been brainwashed and will have to actively let go of any thoughts tied to pseudo supremacy. This includes no longer holding yourself or your community to a standard that degrades you and that was created by other people. Ta-da! Respectability politics. The journey of releasing your self-oppressive beliefs will help you call back your power and increase your self-confidence. So get started. First, examine any thoughts that you have that feel negative about your intersecting identities. Ask yourself why you think this, and then challenge these thoughts with positive reframing or positive affirmations. Take action. Be honest with yourself. Explore and challenge any internalized oppressive beliefs you have about yourself as a Black woman. And I'm going to add, begin to challenge the beliefs you have about not just yourself as a Black woman, but also Black men. Challenge the beliefs you have about Black family. Challenge the stereotypes that come at you through media with what you know in real life. I tell people this all the time. I actually did a lecture. You can find it here on YouTube. I was invited to do a lecture about Black love and the war on Black love. And after we went through all of the stereotypes, because a lot of times people think about the stereotypes toward women in the media, but they don't always look at the stereotypes of Black men in the media. So we covered both. And after we went through the stereotypes about women and the stereotypes about men, it began to open people's eyes to see it in media and how it is infiltrated and how it's integrated into media. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you recognize that there are stereotypes built into media for us, and I'm not just talking about movies, I'm talking about the way that news is presented around anything to do with Black people, whether we're doing something good in society or whether we have people that are part of our community that are doing things bad in our society. I want you to pay attention to how the headlines read when Black people do something versus the headlines when people of other ethnicities do it. There's a stark difference in how we're even reported on when it comes to our media. And so as we started diving into that, once people saw it, they realized, oh, this is an actual stereotype. This was invented to be a part of the framework by which people view Black people, not just Black women, but how people view Black people. Okay. And so when you start doing that, when you start analyzing, as she said, explore and challenge these beliefs you have about yourself. It starts with yourself. What are the beliefs that I have about myself and where are they coming from? Who told me? Because this is when I heard growing up as a child that boys are smarter than girls. I don't know about you, but I heard that growing up as a child. Or you can't do that kind of math because it's too hard for you. Boys are better at it. So these are the careers and the professions that we're going to push boys into. Now, obviously, we've come a long way when it comes to gender understanding. But when I was growing up, that was what was happening. They were like, this is certain, these are the careers that would work for you as a girl. These are the careers that would work for you as a boy. People were gendering careers when I was growing up. This is the 70s and the 80s. Now you don't see that kind of talk and that kind of conversation, but it was most certainly a norm when I was growing up. So again, we have to explore and challenge internalized oppressive beliefs. Start with the ones that you have about yourself. Who told you you couldn't do it? Why did they tell you that? Second question is, did you believe them? Did you stop trying because somebody told you that's not for you? We just recently had somebody, I believe, at the South by Southwest conference. They said that the question came up about what can Black women do in this moment to move around some of the things happening with our administration. Well, the advice was given from a billionaire to Black women to not depend on funding, to not wait for someone to fund you. I don't know if you know any Black women, but most Black women aren't waiting on anyone to fund us. We haven't really been waiting for anyone to fund us. I'm just saying. Madam C.J. Walker ring a bell? Oprah ring a bell? So to give that advice to Black women about something that Black women are already doing, to me, I felt was a little redundant. And then my question came, well, if that's the advice being given, because this person started with a personal investment of $2,000 to get their business started, I said, well, $2,000 doesn't seem like a lot of money, but let's just go to the research and the data. The average, according to research and data, the average Black woman currently has $400 in savings. That's not $2,000. And then we started doing a little bit more research and we see that it's a systemic issue. So it's not just a capital raising issue. It is the fact that we are in a system built on inequity. So to keep telling Black women, we know you're in a system built on inequity, but don't search out other funding help, is ludicrous. But guess who is the fastest growing demographic of people starting businesses? Black women. So the data shows that we may not have as much as everyone else. In terms of the research, a lot of us are at the bottom of what we need financially to get to where we need to be, but we're yet the fastest growing business starters. So what does that tell me? It tells me rather than telling Black women not to look for funding, you should be encouraging the people who have money to fund Black women. Why are you telling Black women don't look for funding, but you're not telling the people who have funding to fund Black women? Because we are the fastest growing demographic of business starters. Doesn't make sense, does it? And then someone asked the question, well, would this person give that same advice to white women? Well, according to the research and data, white women are in a much better position financially already to start a business. So again, we have to examine the beliefs that we've been given. Because if someone tells me you shouldn't try to go out and look for funding, you should bootstrap everything, when I know that I'm in a system built on inequity, when I know I'm in a system that has no boots for me, but you're telling me to bootstrap, then I'm not going to follow your advice. I am, in fact, going to do what I've been doing, which is making a way out of no way, but I'm also going to look for funding. Why? Because I'm going to bet on me, and I'm going to encourage other people to bet on me because I know that I am worth betting on. I know that I am worth betting on. You don't have to convince me. And so if you're catching up to the fact that I'm worth betting on, well, that's nice. That's nice. But telling Black women don't look for outside sources of funding is wild, especially if they sit at the bottom of opportunity for funding. If anything, we should be telling people who have the capital to bet on Black women. Look at the route that Black women have been taking to be successful in business, to build and come from the bottom, starting with nothing. And you have Black women building multi-million dollar, billion-dollar companies from scratch. I would invest in that before I invest in some of this other stuff I see out here. Listen, before I invest in cryptocurrency, I would invest in a Black woman business owner. I can't tell you the people that have lost thousands, millions of dollars in cryptocurrency with the stroke of a key. But I would invest in Black women. I sure would. And I am. A couple of years back, we had an opportunity to invest in a Black hair care company. Guess who is owning it? A Black woman. I was like, oh, this is a no-brainer. Company is doing well. So I'm going to encourage you, if you know a Black woman in business, if you know a Black woman that is in the process of a startup, hear them out, hear what their plan is, and invest in Black women. All right, that's what I wanted to share today, this morning. This has been another episode of Daring Dialogues, and I've been your host, Shantae Charles. We're going to move into our talk back segment, and hopefully, I'm not sure if he's here yet, but if he is, hopefully he will say good morning in the chat, and we'll see if he is on today. If not, I am also dropping the link if you want to come live and share your thoughts about what we read today. It is Get Free Friday. And the link is also down in the chat. I believe we can have 3 people on at a time. I think that's the limit. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I think we're finally making progress here.
I had to actually look for you because I didn't get a notification, and it took me a
Okay.
while to find you, and I ended up getting on late. But I got the conversation, and I want to say this: Black women are doing, as you said, self care.
Mhm.
Yeah, and everybody's begging for them. Well, we need you. No, you don't. I'm resting now. See, because
Mhm.
we've been fighting, and that's another thing. See, black women fight for everybody,
Mhm.
not just sitting this one out.
And this is
And
what I don't
people are feeling
understand.
it. People are feeling it.
Because we know that black women fight for everybody, for you to say, black women, you're on your own. Don't ask
Hmm.
anybody for anything. Don't ask anybody to help you fund your business makes absolutely no sense to me. If you know the power of black women in this society, why wouldn't you be running to fund their business?
Hmm.
Again, this is a no-brainer to me. I don't know about anybody else, but if I know that a woman has a business, she has a plan, she is doing what's necessary for accountability purposes, and she presents that plan, I the black women that I know that have started businesses, their businesses are still going. They, I don't. They're not in the news saying, "Sorry, I wasted your money."
Hmm.
Sorry, I crashed out. Sorry, I spent all your money on unnecessary things. And so, like I said, I'm going to invest in a black woman before I invest money in cryptocurrency.
Hmm.
Because one I know I can count on, and there's some accountability there. There's reports, there is structure, right? So we get investors reports from the places that we've invested in. So I think it's
Hmm.
to me, I thought that was very reckless to be on a national scale at a national business conference telling black women to not go look for sources of funding. I thought that was irresponsible. I thought it was even more irresponsible that it was coming from a white male billionaire
Yeah, you know
that,
what?
that said it.
And that's what I figured because that white male billionaire don't want black women to be successful. That's all I can see in that because uh, listen, white people, let's be straight up. You're given a head start
Right.
simply because of the color of your skin. It doesn't matter how poor you are. You're given a heart. You're given a head start. Bottom
Hmm.
line, blacks have to fight for everything they get. We got to work hard. I know people hear this and they don't believe it. Oh well, okay, these are facts. Do the research. Just do the research yourself. I'm not talking about on Fox and in these right wing media platforms. I'm talking about real research, okay? Because they're
Edu.
going to, you're right, real research. And you will see. Okay, now one thing I want to say is that a lot of blacks, and especially black women, when they got their STEMI checks, they started businesses.
Hmm.
They started businesses. Those businesses are still around.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because you know why? They realized that that was the capital that they weren't ever going to get any other way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's
And
true for a lot of black people who got stimulus checks, period.
yeah.
They realize this is my chance to make a go of it. I purchase and I patronize and support this gentleman out of Chicago. His bakery is called Struggle Beard Bakery. When I tell you amazing, amazing, amazing cookies. If you are in Hyde Park in Chicago, go check him out. Guess what? His bakery business started during the pandemic. He started learning how to bake as a way to deal with stress of what was happening with the pandemic. He is a former veteran. Um, and so that was his therapeutic way. Cooking became therapeutic for him. And he was able to take part of his stimulus monies and begin making and creating that business. Well, it's
Mm-hmm.
2025. Business is still booming. Business is popping, and he's doing great. But it started with being able to take some of that stimulus money and invest it into what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people did that. A lot of people started businesses during the pandemic. They wanted you to go take your money and put it back into the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Black people did that. They put it into the business economy
Mm-hmm.
so that they could create more economy in other ways.
And
Um, but people didn't expect Black people to do that.
no, they didn't. They expected black people to splurge on sneakers and clothing and vehicles and stuff like that. Just blow it. That's what they expected.
Mhm,
But black people, as you said, they realized, okay, wait a minute. I got these thousands of dollars. I'm not going to ever have this amount of money in my hand at one time again. Let me start some. I had this idea. This is the money. Let me try this. Let me do this. And that's what a lot of them started doing. And some people, they actually left their jobs because
mhm,
what was their side business started doing
mhm,
so good that they say, oh, wait a minute, I can retire early. Or
mhm,
hey, I can walk away from this job now with all these headaches and stuff. I got my own thing going and it's doing great. I'm making more money than I do on my regular job. Let me walk
mhm,
away from this. But as you said, they didn't expect that from us because we are the ones that spend money to the tune of over
mhm,
$1 trillion a year.
mhm,
So they didn't expect that. But we did, but we pulled one on them that time though. We got you. Give us money and we're gonna show you what we can do with it. So, and another thing that I want to say is that as I say, black women are fighters. They help everybody. They're sitting this one out. Y'all are struggling because of your decision, and they're sitting this one out. And guess what? Black men are supporting them in it. I said black
mhm,
men. I didn't say males. I said men. There's a difference. Black men are
mhm,
supporting them in this. Black men are saying, yeah, you sit down and you rest. We got your back. We ain't gonna let nobody bother you while you resting. You go ahead and you rest. Because why? A real black man, he understands that there's this thing about a black woman. She has this extra sensory, and she know when something's about to happen. She know how to see her way through it. See, a real black man, they know how to stand back and let that woman lead when it's time for her to lead. Because they understand she got that extra thing that's going to pull us through this. Listen, a man can't take the smallest little things and make a huge meal out of it. I don't know too many men that can do that, but I don't know a black woman that can't.
mhm.
I don't. I don't. So they're very, very resourceful. We're
I want
very
to give us
resourceful people anyway, but black women, yeah.
I want to give us some data. This is actually from the census from census.gov. How did the pandemic affect Black people? We found that Black adults in households where someone had lost employment income since the start of the pandemic were more likely than white adults to report uncertainty about their ability to pay for housing. This showed that pandemic related job loss affected Black and white households differently. And because it affected our households differently, people said, I've got to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to make it happen. In 2022, 62.2% of Black people were in the labor force, meaning they were either employed or underemployed. This was based on the labor force participation rate at the time. Now, and I think we've talked about this before, with the amount of Black people that work for the federal government, our unemployment rate is going to go up.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to go up because of the fact that a lot of Black people were in government jobs um 20, 25, 30 years because of the fact of what was happening in the private sector. There weren't a lot of equal opportunities happening, but you could get an equal opportunity through federal employment.
Mm-hmm.
You could get an equal opportunity through state employment. So one of the biggest impacts that we're going to see is that unemployment rate jumping for Black people, but it's also going to press us. It's going to press people into doing what they probably needed to be doing 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
which was starting their own business, starting their own consultant business, taking the information and the skills that are transferable into creating their own companies. You're going to see a lot of that going down because guess what? Just because these people are behaving in a way that is barbaric doesn't mean that your skills go anywhere.
Mm-mm.
Your skills don't go anywhere. People are still going to need the skills that you have in order for their companies to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really going to be a loss to our federal government structure, but it doesn't have to continue to be a loss for you if you know how to pivot, if you decide
Mm-hmm.
to pivot. Now, we know with some of the rulings, they're having to rehire some of these people back. Excuse me, they're having to rehire some of these people back, but a lot of them are not going to go back.
Right.
They're not, because there was a level of trauma also in what happened,
Mm-hmm.
that somebody could just snatch the rug out from under you and you not have any recourse or any immediate recourse, because obviously a lot of these people are filing lawsuits. Final
Mm-hmm.
thoughts today.
Final thoughts. Uh, okay, now what you just said, I'm gonna end with this. What you just said, to me, that sounds like an opportunity. See, you
Hmm.
lost your job. As I'm gonna use my son for example. My son, great at landscaping. He learned it from my dad. I did too, but it wasn't for me. Started working for different companies. He started doing his little thing on the weekend on his own. His job fired him. He called me and he was broken heart. I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "Well, Dad, I lost my job." I say, "Again, what's the problem?" I said, "Start your own thing. You got the equipment. You got the know-how. You can build this thing." That's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did. He lost his
Hmm.
job. What I saw an opportunity. He saw, oh man, I've lost my means to support my family. I saw an opportunity. Build your own thing, and you'll never have to worry about that again. And he did that. See, and
Hmm.
that's what I see in this. Build your skills didn't go anywhere. His skills didn't go anywhere after he got fired. Your skills didn't go anywhere. Why don't some of you that work together come together and form your own little company that do these things for people? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big takeaway, that if you're trying to get free, because this is Get Free Friday, you may have lost your job. You may have lost your job, but you didn't lose your skill.
Mm-hmm.
If your skill is sharp, guess what? People still need it. And I also want to say that there are some apps out here. I know that as a business owner myself, and as a contract business, I do contracts, independent contracts with several companies. One of the apps that are out here, I'm trying to get to it on my phone here. It's called Work Market. Work Market app is nothing but independent contract jobs. That if you have the skill and you have your licensure, you can pick up independent contract jobs. there's hundreds of them out there, and they're in different sectors. Usually, because I am in the education sector, I don't have as many on that app. But every day, I get offers to go do contracts and stuff I don't have the skill for, but I know that it's on there. So there's technical things, there's electrician jobs on there. There's all kinds of
Mhm.
jobs on there. So you don't have to despair if you are like, man, what am I going to do next? Check out some of the applications that are independent job apps. Go check them out. Download one. Get your information put up there. Put your resume up there. Put your licensure numbers up there, and go to work and make it work. Again, this is not something that's new to Black America. As we've been saying on this platform for years, we know how to take nothing and make something out of nothing.
Mhm.
We understand as a people the power of transmutation, the power of taking nothing but energy and turning it into something.
Mhm.
I can't say that about everybody. Everybody hasn't had to um, deal with some of the pressures that Black Americans have had to deal with to forge that in us,
Mhm.
but we know how to do it. And so I want to encourage those who might be feeling a little down. You know, you might have been a part of the Department of Education or some of these other departments that have sent out notices in the last 2 to 3 weeks. Understand, you may have lost your job. You did not lose your skill. Think about your transferable skills. Don't give up. Believe in yourself. Organize yourself and begin to move forward. For you, it may be time to pivot. And even if they give you that call back or that email back that says, "Hey, come back in. We made a mistake. You know, you weren't supposed to be a part of the layoffs." You still have the power in your decision making to decide, do I want to go back into that situation, or do I want to forge ahead into something new? Am I
Mhm.
being called to something new in light of what has happened? If you have felt rattled by these circumstances, and I'm saying that because I've been in a position where I had to start over again. It took me a decade to do that, but start over I did. We did, my husband and I. And our life is 1,000 times better. Didn't mean that we didn't go through hell and high water to get here, but we look back at the life we left and the life we now have, and we can say, for a surety, it is 1,000 times better than where we were. So I'm not telling you what I heard, I'm telling you what I know. Okay? I'm telling you what I know. And you may feel the pressure, you may feel some of the discouragement, you may feel it, but it doesn't have to become a part of your personality. It doesn't have to become a part of your makeup. One of the things I would say to myself often is, I am not my circumstance, and my circumstance is not me.
Mhm.
I am not my circumstance, and my circumstance is not me. This is a step in the journey, in the process. I am not yet who I'm supposed to be, but I'm going to keep moving and I'm going to get there until I see in front of me who I see in my mind, who I know I'm supposed to be. I'm going to keep working towards that until I become the person that I see in my mind that I'm supposed to be. So my journey is not predicated on how other people see me. The journey is predicated upon how I see myself in the future. That's what I'm working towards. It's me versus me.
Mhm.
That's it.
Mhm.
And we gonna be the preachers that we are, and we gonna close again. Final thoughts.
Yep, that's what we do. That's exactly what we do. Yeah. Final word about 5 times. Okay, but but yeah, yeah. We are not our circumstance. We're not. And when I know you live by that. So do I. I live by that. And when we can put our minds there and we actually act on that and live on that, things are much easier. Not saying the stuff won't come up, but you're looking beyond your circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that something better is coming. So, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and we as black people, as you said, we've been to the bottom. For us to
Right.
go to the bottom again, it means nothing to us because we know, okay, we're gonna come back up. If you haven't been to the bottom, then you might be in a mess when you hit the bottom. So, but we've had to fight our way up all the way through life. So it ain't nothing but another fight for us. That's all.
As
That's all.
as W.E.B. Du Bois coined it, I believe, up from slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Up from slavery. And so when, like you said, if you've been to the bottom, can't nobody make you feel bad.
That's right.
Can't nobody make you feel bad. If you've been to the bottom, if you've seen what's at the bottom, can't nobody make you feel bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't shame me from having been to the bottom. You can't shame me from having been born at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I know that I have nowhere to go but up.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've been born on a mountaintop, my. If you fall, you gonna hit a
Mm-hmm.
couple of crags coming down. You gonna hit you gonna hit some bumps on the way down.
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking to a people who understand what it means like to be on the bottom and look up and
Mm-hmm.
have hope. So this has been another episode of Daring Dialogues, and I've been your host today, Shantae Charles. Pastor Ben, I want to thank you for being my co-host and talk tenacity person today. Thank you all for your time and attention. Remember, light is, and you are that light. Light is the most daring opposition to darkness. So please go out and be what?
Light.
Light. Take care, everyone. Be well, and most importantly, be light. Next Tuesday, we are only going to be on Black Table Talk. We have a special guest coming with us for next Tuesday, Dr. Vanessa R. Brooks. She is going to be talking to us about moving from harm to health, talking about faith, spirituality, and the Black church. That's going to be a conversation you do not want to miss. It's going to be over on our Black Table Talk page. So go over to Facebook, find our page, like the page, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live on Tuesday. All right. We will be back here on Monday, but again, Tuesday will be over on the Facebook page. Thank you again for your time and attention. Remember, light is the most daring opposition to darkness. So go out and be light. Take care, everyone. Be blessed.